Hello, how are you today? Do you want to dive into a book that might just surprise you, whether it becomes your next favorite or one you might skip? Let's find out what readers are saying about it.
NZ Lisa M, who has 93 likes, says, "Happy publication day, you'll fall in love with this picturesque setting, so many glorious animals. Shearwater Island holds many a secret, located between the Tasmanian coast of Australia and Antarctica, home to many rare species of animals. But life on the island is threatened due to climate change and rising sea levels. 9 years ago, following the death of their mother, Dominic Salt brought his 3 children to live in Shearwater's lighthouse. They are caretakers for the island's research facility, which houses scientists several months of the year who are tasked with studying the wildlife, weather, and tides. During the worst storm the Salt family has ever endured, an injured woman named Rowan washes up on the shore. Where did she come from? Shearwater is so remote that she had to have been on her way there. But why? What does she want? She will. I packed all their lives. Wild dark shore was bleak, dark, tender, eerie, and mysterious, yet there was still happiness and hope for the future to be found even in the direst of times. The main characters were brave, strong, courageous, and heroic, and they loved and respected the land and sea as much as they did each other. I am almost certain this was set in the present day, but could just as easily taken place slightly in the future. My main takeaway after finishing this novel was the enduring strength of the unconditional love, powerful unshakable bond, and protective instinct that exists between parents and their children, and that everything in nature is not only connected: weather, trees, plants, crops, insects, animals, humans, but dependent on each other to survive and thrive. Mother Nature is as glorious and pure as it is unrelenting and destructive. Also, that nowhere on the planet is untouched by the devastating effects of climate change and man-made destruction. The writing was hauntingly beautiful, captivating, insightful, and hit every emotional beat expertly. It was also deliberately vague, dreamlike, and flowery, which may be too frustrating for some readers. Definitely a mood-based read requiring patience and concentration. But the payoff was 100% worth it. A slow burn, particularly the first half. But the last handful of chapters were tense and fast-paced. There were some exceptional twists sprinkled throughout that left me reeling. And keep those tissues handy. And prepare yourself, because it was a tearjerker if you need a good cry. This is the book for you. The narration shifted between Rowan and the 3 members of the Salt family, with the youngest child's 9-year-old early chapters reciting the evolution of various plants and their importance. Charlotte McConaghy is a new-tome Australian author whose backlist you'll definitely be delving into. I'd like to thank NetGalley, Penguin Random House Australia, and Charlotte McConaghy for the EARC. Publication date the 4th of March 2025. Trigger warnings: underage sex with a minor, pedophilia, animal cruelty, and mass death, seal culling resulting in the near extinction of the elephant seals and royal and king penguins in the 19th century. Historical mention but graphic. Lindsay Suspense Thrilling Me, who has 100 likes, says, "What an utterly evocative, atmospheric, and lyrical book. From the very start of Wild Dark Shore, I was pulled into a world that felt just as vivid as the characters themselves, in what I can only describe as a love letter to nature. The depth of the descriptions was heart-stoppingly real. Piled on top of the claustrophobic setting, though, was a small cast of characters that had me feeling all of the feels. Transcending the black and white of words on a page, I was touched deeply by an exploration of survival, family, and love that surrounded these 5 individuals and their heartbreaking story. It was their thoughts and emotions that were told via distinct multiple POVs. However, that had me downright weak in the knees. As for the plot, Despite a slow burn first two-thirds, the literary fiction vibe matched nicely with the layers of secrets and lies. Filled with unbridled foreboding and rising suspense, the story of what happened before captured my mind. And as the storms picked up steam, so too did the events in the novel. You see, a jaw-dropping twist that had me whispering wait, what into the night, and led to an adrenaline-fueled climax that was simply sublime. Immersive and stunning. As much as I needed to suspend all disbelief, I also could see the events playing out like that for real. After all, this premise was timely to be sure given the crisis of climate change and its impact on our world. The only tiny warning that I have to dispense is that there was quite a bit of seemingly excessive talk about nature and species classifications in the first half of the novel. Notice I said seemingly. However, you see, it tied directly into the feel of it all. Just know that it did slow the pace down the littlest a bit. Despite that, though, it was beyond addictive, more like unputdownable, which led me to finish the book in just one mesmerized sitting. All in all, while I would certainly classify this near-future tale as character-driven, it also had plenty of plot twists and shocking surprises. With a unique premise, palpable poignancy, and a whole crew of captivating characters, this genre-bending book was an utter home run. And when I say genre-bending, I mean it, a mashup of slow-burn romance, literary fiction, and mystery suspense. There was something there for everyone to love, as the writing was incisive, eloquent, and visceral in the extreme. So if you love a book that will make you sit up and think long after you're done, this is most definitely the one for you. After all, despite it being outside of my go-to genres, it won't be leaving my head anytime soon. Rating of 5 stars. Synopsis: Dominic Salt and his 3 children are caretakers of Shearwater, a tiny island not far from Antarctica, home to the world's largest seed bank. Shearwater was once full of researchers, but with sea levels rising, the salts are now its final inhabitants. Until, during the worst storm the island has ever seen, a woman mysteriously washes ashore. Isolation has taken its toll on the salts. But as they nurse the woman, Rowan, back to strength, it begins to feel like she might just be what they need. Rowan, long accustomed to protecting herself, starts imagining a future where she could belong to someone again. But Rowan isn't telling the whole truth about why she set out for Shearwater. And when she discovers sabotaged radios and a freshly dug grave, she realizes Dominic is keeping his own secrets. As the storms on Shearwater gather force, they all must decide if they can trust each other enough to protect the precious seeds in their care before it's too late, and if they can finally put the tragedies of the past behind them to create something new together. Thank you to Charlotte McConaghy and Flatiron Books for my complimentary copy. All opinions are my own. Pub date March 4th, 2025. Content warning: loss of a spouse, suicide, cancer, wildfire, drowning, infidelity, all mild. Karen Sandercock, who has 72 likes, says, Dominic Salt and his 3 children Raph, Fen and Orly are caretakers of Shearwater, a tiny island in between Tasmania and Antarctica. Here the world's biggest seed bank is stored in a bunker, and due to global warming the sea levels are rising. The salts are packing the rarest and most important ones before the ship arrives to transport them all to safety. Dominic hasn't gotten over the loss of his wife. The solution was to move to Shearwater. Once it was busy research station, and now it's just the 4 of them left, and soon it will be deserted and taken by the sea. After a terrible storm, a woman washes up on the rocky shore and Fen rescues her. They wonder why Rowan was on a boat in such a remote area and are suspicious of her at first, and she integrates herself into the family. Rowan isn't telling the whole truth about why she sailed to Shearwater. Her husband Frank Jones was the senior botanist, and he sent her a couple of odd emails and she hasn't heard from his since. Rowan discovers the radios and power supply have been damaged and they have no way of communicating with the outside world. Oddly, Fen is staying on the beach with the penguins and not with her family, and Dominic is keeping secrets, and he's not the only one. As their time at Shearwater ticks over, all the characters have to decide if they can trust each other enough to protect the precious seeds in their care before it's too late, and if they can finally put the tragedies of the past behind them. Both Dominic and Rowan have experienced loss and create a new life together. I received a copy of Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaghy from NetGalley and Penguin Random House Australia in exchange for an unbiased review. I now understand why there's been so much hype about this book. The narrative is full of twists and turns, and set in a remote and harsh place, and where whales, birds and penguins come to mate, have their babies and raise them, and the salts worry about what will happen to the animals and the diverse ecosystem of the rugged island once they leave. A psychological thriller, one that will have you sitting on the edge of your seat wondering what will happen next. And full of complex characters, family dynamics, secrets, mystery, missing people, empty buildings, creepy ghost stories and acts of sabotage. Please make sure you read the author's notes at the end. She mentions a famous explorer, and as a child my 88-year-old mother-in-law knew him well, and 5 stars from me. Nikki Lee, who has 86 likes, says, "No novelist in the world can top this. No one, no book, ever. In the history of reading throughout the world, there is nothing greater than the works that lie within these pages. If you were left to read only one book for the rest of your existence, it is Wild Dark Shore. The story: a woman has washed ashore on an island. On the island is a man, his 2 sons and his daughter. How did this woman get here? Why are these the only people here?" Charlotte McConaghy's writing is fierce, utterly beautiful, poignant, poetic, and all of the things that resonate with readers. No matter what genre you love, this is the one. I am blessed and grateful to Flatiron Books for sending me a copy. Thank you so much. Out now. Every in the sky. Niloufar Ozmekik, who has 253 likes, says, "There's nothing I can write here that could truly give enough praise or express how much this book meant to might just be the best thing I've read all year. It made me scream, cry. It hurt me more than I expected. It shattered me into pieces. It opened up so many old wounds. It made me reflect on the wildness of nature, the fragility of species, the instinct to survive, the future of humanity, broken families, grief, pure love, obsession turning into madness, claustrophobia, guilt, sacrifice, and motherhood. And yet, somehow, it also gave me a tiny glimmer of hope that with the help of those we love, we can still stand up after hitting the deepest, most painful rock bottom. I haven't read something so tragic, heart-wrenching, and yet so achingly beautiful in a long time. The ending felt like tiny needles piercing my heart. I cannot stop crying. This is one of those rare books that delivers the most cathartic ugly cry and haunts you forever. With its unforgettable characters, perfectly built mystery, and slow-burning intensity leading to a brilliant twist as a work of fiction, survival thriller, and mystery, it took my breath away. Picture this: a family of 4, a father, 2 teenagers, and a young child living on a remote island near Antarctica called Shearwater. Once a bustling hub for researchers, it's now desolate, with only this family left behind, tasked with packing up seeds to transport to safer ground. The boat meant to retrieve them is 5 weeks away, but as the sea level rises, the electricity fails, the radio breaks, and there's no signal. Their survival becomes increasingly uncertain. Then, a mysterious woman washes ashore, bloodied and barely alive. claiming to have fled a tragedy, the house and land she built. Now reduced to ashes, her name is Rowan. As she recovers, she finds herself drawn into the family's orbit. Dominic, the father, is still grieving the loss of his wife, struggling to express his emotions while raising his children with strict discipline. He's hiding something: 2 bloodstains he once scrubbed clean in the now abandoned research facility. What happened there? Rowan becomes suspicious. Why does the family act like they've seen a ghost after learning who she is? Why do they whisper behind closed doors? Even little Orly seems to be speaking to someone invisible. Is the island haunted, or is there something even more sinister going on beneath the surface? Has Rowan put herself in grave danger by coming here? Is the family succumbing to madness bred by isolation, or is the truth even more devastating than she imagined? One thing is certain: Rowan should never have come. Overall, as a thriller, the pacing, tension, climax, and gut-wrenching twist were flawlessly executed. As a novel, it absolutely wrecked mine the best possible way. Some chapters felt like they bled off the page. I sobbed through more than one. 10 gazillion stars well earned. Don't just add this book to your TBR. Buy a copy. Read it immediately. If you skip this one, you're missing out on one of the best books of the year. Follow me on medium.com to read my articles about books, movies, streaming series, astrology, Medium blog, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.